We're back. The Silver and Blue Huddle is back on a Tuesday afternoon, and I must say, yesterday was probably one of the best days of my life as a Cowboy fan in a very, very long time. And I'm sitting up here today, and I'm just thinking of the song from the movie Sister Act, where they said, "Oh, happy day, oh, happy day." What it is, the day that Mike McCarthy got fired, and my Dallas Cowboys are back. So, oh, happy day, oh, happy day. When Mike McCarthy got fired. That's the type of mood that I'm on right now. That Mike McCarthy is gone and Dallas Cowboys for once did the right thing. For once they did the right thing. As a fan, I feel like they did the right thing. I mean, a lot of people probably disagree, and at the end of the day, winning in the regular season is good. Year after year, year after year, winning 12 games in the regular season, that is good. But at some point, winning in the playoffs have to matter. And if as a coach, you can't get that done after a few years, then you got to go. Obviously, again, I love winning in the regular season, but with the Dallas Cowboys, that organization is built on legacy. It's built on championships. If you're not going to the championship game or going to the Super Bowl, after a while, you got to go because winning in the regular season is not enough. It's just not enough. How do you feel about yesterday with Mike McCarthy?
Yes, listen, you know how I feel because as soon as the news dropped, I hit my man Richblkman up. I sent him a text like it finally happened. There may have been some emojis, a gif of someone dancing. There may have been some things to show my excitement, but it finally happened yesterday. The Cowboys and Mike McCarthy decided they couldn't come up with a contract. I guess that's the nice words of we broke up, right? It's kind of like when you and a girl decide to go your separate ways, but really it's you dumping her or she's dumping you. You tell everybody else it was mutual, right, but it ain't never mutual. The Cowboys finally made the first right decision. Like you said, Rich, it's decision number one in the right direction. Now, they got a ton of more decisions to make, but this is the first one, right? Listen, first off, we got to thank Mike McCarthy for everything he did in Dallas, right? Had a winning record, did a great job while he was here, winning game after game after game, was a truly a good coach for the Dallas Cowboys when it came to the regular season. But you are measured in professional sports about what you do in the postseason. It's one thing to get there, but if you can't find a way to win it all, we got to stop doing the same thing over and over again, right? You got to produce when it counts the most. It's the people that do it are elite. The Patrick Mahomes, the Andy Rees, those guys are elite. Mike McCarthy was elite in the regular season, but in the postseason, he was just a jag. He was just another guy. He was on a long list of coaches that have no business being head coaches if you can't win the whole thing. So Wish him the best. Obviously, I feel like he's going to land somewhere very quick. He's a good coach. Players rave about him. Micah Parsons came out, was talking about this is a devastating move. At the end of the day, Micah Parsons got to understand it's a business. It's not the first time a coach has been let go. Those guys grow attached. He's been with Mike McCarthy his whole career. He's attached to him. I get it. But at the end of the day, it's about winning championships in Dallas. It's not about winning the NFC East. That's great. That's what the Commanders get excited about. They get excited. The Giants get excited about winning the NFC East. That's their goal, right? Other teams are worried about winning the Super Bowl, and that should be your only focus, not winning the division.
Facts. And I mean, you hit it right on the nail. Like, championships are bust when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys. Like, that is just the way that the organization is built. And if you're not winning championships, then we have a problem. Obviously, Mike McCarthy, I'm not a hater of Mike McCarthy. I like Mike McCarthy. And just like you mentioned, he won a lot in the regular season. He is going to make another organization happy to win 8 to 10 games in the season, because that particular organization have not won 10 games in over 5-6 years, probably. The Tennessee Titans, the Carolina Panthers, the New Orleans Saints, the Chicago Bears. You're going to love Mike McCarthy because he's going to bring back winning to your organization, and your fans are going to be happy. Now, once he brings that back, then you can heighten the bar a little bit higher to say, hey, now Mike, you brought us back to winning the regular season. Now we want to make the playoffs. He'll probably take it to the playoffs. And then once you do that, and if he's really the truly fit for your organization, then you just raise the bar again. Okay, championship game and then Super Bowl. But with the Dallas Cowboys, it's Super Bowl or bust, no matter what. No matter what the roster look like, no matter who the coach is, the expectation for the Dallas Cowboys is to make the Super Bowl every single year, not just win regular season games, not just win in the first round of the playoffs, not to win division titles like you say. Dallas Cowboys don't hang up division titles. They don't do that.
And that's the sad part, right? Because it's been so long since we've won a championship. Right. So like, I feel like that knob needs to get turned up more and more every single year. Like the pressure should be mounting every single year for a coach that doesn't win a championship in Dallas. And I hope that in the owner's box, they're turning that dial now, right? Because I don't feel like in the past 5 years, they've been turning that dial. They were happy just winning championships of the NFC East kind and not completely winning the whole thing. Jerry Jones still, listen, I don't know. All I know is whoever the next coach is, you got to give him some more of the reins and allow him to run this organization as the head coach more than what you let Mike McCarthy do. And we'll never know what that Mike McCarthy, Jerry Jones relationship was like. Obviously, they kept that close to the chest. Right. They're not telling the average fan, how much Jerry was involved, how much Mike was involved. I don't know. All I know is it was time for a change, and they made the change. Now, in true Cowboy fashion, they waited 8-9 days longer than what they should have.
Correct.
Not saying that, a coach like Vrabel would have came to Dallas, but you miss out on interviewing guys like that because you're holding on to this nostalgia of we have Mike McCarthy. What are we doing with Mike? At some point, you got to drop a set and let's say, look, Mike, love you to death, but you didn't win a championship. We gave you 4 years. It's time for you to go. Like, appreciate it. Your contract is up. We gave you the 1 extra year. You didn't get it done. Sorry the injuries happened. You didn't have the roster you felt you needed, but you didn't get it done. You got to go. And then let's move on to somebody else. And that's what they did. And hopefully that's the pressure we put on the next coach. Like, hey, we're going to give you a 4-year contract. Here you go. Tell us what you need. Win us a championship or get out. It's got to be that kind of sense of urgency in Dallas at this point. Right. I'm tired of sitting here year after year talking about next year is our year.
Right. And that's probably one of the biggest questions that a lot of people have about this new coach that's going to be coming in with the Dallas Cowboys is how much power is Jerry Jones going to give the new coach to really be a coach? Because it's kind of sad to come in as a coach and not have any type of influence over the type of roster that you're coaching, right? So if Jerry Jones does not give that power up, which there's no indication that he is even leaning towards giving up any type of power. So that's a battle within itself. But keeping Mike McCarthy, like you said, definitely did hurt us because there was a window to where we could have interviewed certain candidates like a Ben Johnson of the Lions when he was on the bye week of the playoffs. Now we got to wait until the Lions actually lose in the playoffs in order to get opportunity to interview him. I don't understand the timing of Jerry Jones' business plans or business moves. Like, he always waits to the last minute. And I know there's a lot of talk in the media about how Troy Aikman said that, hey, the Dallas job might not be the most fabulous job out there because you got to deal with Jerry Jones, right? So how do you feel about Troy Aikman's comment about saying that Dallas job is not one of the most glaring or the most popular ones out there because of who you got to deal with? Like, how do you feel about that? Troy Aikman has been a hater for a long time. I feel
listen, Troy Aikman is a true Cowboy hater, but here is the thing. I also think Troy Aikman is one of those guys that can look at what's going on in Dallas and understand what went on the inside because he went through that, right? He had a coach in Jimmy Johnson who I felt had that power right at the beginning. Jimmy Johnson talks about that. He talks about the Herschel Walker trade, how much he was involved with that and how much he was involved in building that roster. So then the Cowboys start having success. Then you slowly start seeing that power taken away from the coach and go to the owner's box. It goes to the general manager. So Jerry thinks, oh, I can do this without Jimmy Johnson. So he brings Barry Switzer in. And the worst thing that could happen is Barry Switzer wins a championship with that Cowboy roster that Jimmy Johnson built. And so Jerry now thinks, okay, I did this. I won this championship. And then once Barry Switzer is gone, it's just a lineage of never winning another championship. never giving true ownership to that coach. And so Troy Aikman is 100,000,000% right. It's not the most favorable job in the NFL like it used to be. Listen, there are a couple positions in sports. Shortstop for the Yankees, you got to be a dog. The Dallas Cowboy quarterback, right? Shooting guard for the Chicago Bulls. Those are people you know who plays in those positions because of the people that have played in those spots. So the head coach for the Dallas Cowboys used to be one of those that was people beating the door down to come coach for the Cowboys. And I think Troy Aikman is correct. I don't see coaches like, do I want to deal with that? Do I want to be the head coach, but also have to deal with a general manager that doesn't let me help build my team to go win the championship? So, again, do I think Jerry Jones is listening to all that? No, absolutely not. Listen, I'm a very religious person. If you know me, you know I'm a very religious person. Right. And I believe God has his own timing and things happen in his time for a reason. I believe that my entire life. Right. Jerry Jones thinks he is God. And so he thinks his timing is perfect. And unfortunately, he is so below what God is. He has screwed up so much. The timing of Dak Prescott's contract screwed us up. The timing of CeeDee Lamb contract screwed us up. The finally saying Mike McCarthy's not coming back on his time screwed us up. You could have, listen, I really believe he thinks the world revolves around the Dallas Cowboys.
Right.
And to a point, yes, there are some things that revolve around the Cowboys. When the Cowboys are on TV, more viewership than any other team that plays on. It's just, these are facts. Listen, I understand you could be in your feelings when you hear some of these things, but when the Dallas Cowboys play, no matter what their record is, the ratings go up on TV because it's the Dallas Cowboys. But timing doesn't revolve around Jerry Jones. Right. There is a window of you could have gone and interviewed Ben Johnson, who I think should be at the top of the list for the Dallas Cowboys. But what do I hear all week? Let's go get Deion Sanders. Let's trade Dak Prescott and our first round pick, draft Shedeur Sanders and get Deion to come to Dallas. Now, hope you know I'm a huge Deion fan, and I would love for Deion Sanders to be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Right. But you think Deion Sanders is coming to Dallas and he's not going to have all the power? You think he wants to relinquish that to Jerry Jones, who's never played football at this high of a level in his entire life? Deion's not fixing to get that up. He has ultimate power in Colorado. Nobody's telling Deion who to recruit, who to bring in, who to let go, who is coach. No one is doing that in Colorado. They have given him the keys to that city, the keys to that program, and say, you do what you need to do to win. You won't get that in Dallas. Whoever the next coach is, just don't expect that in Dallas. You have to win despite that, which means the next person that wins a championship in Dallas with Jerry Jones as the owner, that Super Bowl means even more because he did it basically with the ownership holding him back.
Facts.
So I feel bad for the next Cowboy coach, but I'm also super excited to see who they bring in. And I think Jerry Jones already knows.
And that's crazy, and we can get to that. And Deion Sanders, I love Deion. I'm a big primetime fan myself. Probably one of my favorite people to play with on Madden or whatever. But you're right. He's not coming to Dallas. He is not going to give up that power. Jerry Jones is not going to allow Deion Sanders to talk to his players the way he talked to the Colorado players today. Like, he's not going to allow Deion Sanders to get in their face and hold them accountable. Like, that's the biggest thing. Whoever the coach is cannot hold the players accountable. And that's like one of the biggest things that the Dallas Cowboys is missing from their head coach. If someone who's going to hold the players accountable, get in their face when they mess up and say, do your job. Deion Sanders ain't coming to do that at all. And a borderline controversy comment that I could probably say is that Jerry Jones is probably using Deion Sanders to satisfy the Rooney Rule. So that's very controversial to say. But he has a lot of respect for Deion Sanders, so I can understand why he gave him a call or whatever, but Deion Sanders is not coming here. We're not trading Dak Prescott to draft Shedeur or anybody else. Like, that's crazy. That is crazy. That's a crazy thing to think and even say as a Cowboys fan as well, but you're right. I'm eager to hear who you have for the next coach of the Dallas Cowboys, so let me hear it.
I truly think he's going to bring Kellen Moore back to Dallas.
My God.
And Kellen Moore is going to take over the Dallas Cowboys, which is why he didn't rush. He didn't rush getting rid of Mike McCarthy because he knew he couldn't talk to Kellen Moore anyway. They have already sent permission to talk to Kellen Moore once the Eagles are done with the playoffs. I think the plan all along was that Kellen Moore was going to take over when Mike McCarthy left. And when that didn't happen fast enough, Kellen Moore left and said, I need to go forge my own path, do what I need to do. He goes to the Chargers. The Eagles pick him up. The Eagles are now headed to the divisional round. He thinks the way Kellen Moore has a relationship with Dak Prescott, he knows these players. He's coached these players. He's played with these players. He wants Kellen Moore. Now, I would say that Kellen Moore is far down on my list of coaches I want to be the next head coach. Is he on the list? Yes, I think he's on the list, but he is way down on the list before I would say, hey, Kellen Moore, you're the next guy up, right? There's too many good coaches, right? There's the Ben Johnson out there. To me, I think Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator for the Lions, would be a huge pickup for the Cowboys to bring in here, right? I think the defensive back coach for the Dallas Cowboys, Mr. Harris, would be a great pick to be the next Dallas Cowboys head coach. There are way more people that I would rather have. At this point, I would rather have Cliff Kingsbury than Kellen Moore as the next head coach. But I really feel like we're going to hear an announcement once the Eagles are eliminated from the playoffs that Jerry Jones has reached an agreement with Kellen Moore to be the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
Kellen Moore, the Kellen Moore that was under Mike McCarthy, who we all thought was going to be the head coach, and Jerry Jones was going to maybe make a decision between Mike and Jerry. I mean, Mike and Kellen, but he chose Mike at the time. And Kellen Moore went on to be the OC of the Chargers. And then now Kellen Moore, which wasn't a good thing. Then Kellen Moore went on to the Eagles. Obviously, the Eagles are having a lot of success. Yes, Kellen Moore did contribute to that a little bit, but the Eagles was already pretty good.
Yeah, And I've seen a lot of people like bring Kellen Moore back. Look at the Eagles. Look at the Eagles. Let's break the Eagles down.
Right.
The Eagles have arguably one of the best offensive lines in all of the NFL. They are a monster. They have two true number ones at wide receiver. They have a true number one at tight end in Dallas Goedert. They have, if not the best, the second best running back in the NFL in Saquon Barkley. And I would argue he's the best running back in the NFL. Go look at the numbers for this offense. Jalen Hurts is not the reason that this offense is one of the top tier offenses. Is Jalen Hurts good? Yes. Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback. He's not going to beat you most days. He's going to make the right throws or no throw, right? He's going to run out the pocket. He's going to pick it up with his feet. He's going to brotherly shove, whatever they do, but he's going to turn around and hand that ball to that monster in the backfield, Saquon Barkley. This team is successful because of two things. One, that run game is top notch. And two, this defense turned a switch on later in the season and found a way to stuff teams down. They are stopping teams. Now, they get a tough matchup versus the Rams. We'll find out what that defense is about. But I don't think Kellen Moore has made this team that much better than if Mike McCarthy was the offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Correct.
So I feel like when Kellen Moore was here in Dallas, the offense was worse than when Mike McCarthy was there. When Mike took over the play calling, the offense got better. They were a top 5 offense in the league for several years when Kellen Moore wasn't there. Kellen Moore goes to San Diego, kind of the same roster the Cowboys had. What did the Chargers do? They was dog doo-doo. Right. They were horrible. He goes to Philadelphia and he gets a monster program in Philadelphia. And all of a sudden now people are talking about Kellen Moore coming back to Dallas. I certainly hope Jerry Jones is smarter than that. I hope he can see some of the things we see and not bring that back to Dallas and actually start fresh with somebody new.
Please do not bring back Kellen Moore. We do not want to see Kellen Moore back in Dallas. He did not have the characteristics of a head coach, or he probably would have got a head coaching job by now. I mean, there was plenty of opportunities for him after he left the Chargers, but the people only thought he was only good enough to continue to be an offensive coordinator, and that's where he is right now in Philly. So please do not bring him back, Jerry Jones. Please. Kellen
Yep.
Moore, guys, no. No. Don't make that a bad decision. There's somebody else that's a little bit better than Kellen Moore. We've seen enough of Kellen Moore. We've seen enough of the hitches and slants and stuff like
Yeah.
that. We don't need that as a head coach. I mean, absolutely not. Kellen Moore's out. But since we're talking about coaches, let's play a little game of pass or keep. I'm going to throw out a bunch of coaching names or potential coaching hires that we've been hearing about and ones that we already kind of discussed already. And you let me know if you want to pass or you want to keep them. And we're going to start out with who's on the roster right now. They're probably not on the contract anymore, but they was on the Dallas Cowboys. First up is Mike Zimmer. Pass or keep?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Not close. Not yesterday. Not 2 days ago. Not tomorrow. No, pass. Bye, Zimmer. Appreciate you. No, hard no.
Deion Sanders.
I would love if he could get Deion Sanders. Listen, I got his jersey hanging up in my game room. I played corner in high school and college because of Deion Sanders. Deion is one of my idols. Like, he is one of my heroes. If it's Deion Sanders related, I'm all in. Okay. If there was a poster that came out about Deion, I own it. If there is a jersey he's worn, I own it, including a Commanders jersey. I own them all. Nice. Deion is my hero. He is one of the greatest athletes to ever play sports. And I would love for Deion Sanders to come, but he's not coming to Dallas. Let's just shut that door. If he comes to Dallas, I'm going to be the most ecstatic fan. I'm buying tickets to games just because it's Deion. But I'm telling you right now, he's not leaving Colorado. He's building something in Colorado. He will not be in Dallas. But I would love him.
Love him. All right. Pete Carroll.
No, absolutely not. Listen, love Pete Carroll to death. Pete Carroll was great when he was in Seattle with the Legion of Boom and Marshawn Lynch and Russell Wilson. Great job by Pete Carroll. Great USC coach. Did great in college, great in the NFL, but his time has come. His time is gone. No, we got to start new, fresh.
And this coach has actually made a good impact on our defense. Al Harris.
I would love Al Harris. Listen, you know, you brought up the Rooney Rule earlier. I think it's the stupidest rule in the NFL because I think owners only interview black coaches just to get the Rooney Rule off of their neck. Mm-hmm. Let's take a look at some of the coaches right now in the NFL that I would love. Mike Tomlin come to Dallas. I would love Mike Tomlin to come to Dallas. Amazing. Al Harris, I would take Al Harris in a heartbeat. I think what Al Harris has done with that cornerback group, with that safety group, he has built a reputation of being one of the best coaches on the sideline. And obviously, you know, your natural progression is position coach, the defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, then the head coach. But I would take him as a head coach right now. I think he knows how to lead men. He's played in the toughest division in football when he was a player. He knows what the NFL is about. He knows how to get guys to, I mean, he's taken some guys that have no business being at the top of their game and been elite athletes in their position. Right. I would love Al Harris. We got to get rid of this Rooney Rule and stop looking at black and white. We got to look at who's the best coaches. And we talked about it a couple weeks ago, and I know this is kind of off topic and off tangent. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. The NFL, and you can say whatever you want, but I can back it up with facts. And I saw a lot of people on social media saying that that's not true. But in the NFL, we have statistically given black coaches a shorter leash in the NFL when it comes to being head coaches. Right. We didn't give the Patriots guy any chance. None. Zero. We gave him a broke down roster.
This is a different topic. Let's finish pass and keep, and then we can talk about that. All right. Pass and keep. Joe Brady. Buffalo Bills. OC.
I like Joe Brady. What he has done in Buffalo. Now, obviously, you know, he's got Josh Allen. So, you know, that really helps him. I like him. He would be new. He would be way above Kellen Moore for me. Pages and pages above Kellen Moore. I would take Joe Brady. I would definitely take him.
Ron Rivera.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. We talked about Fresh. Listen, Riverboat Ron, love him to death. Was a great athlete when he played in the NFL. Got kind of a bad rap when he was with the Commanders with all the crap that was going on in that program. But no, come on, Fresh, new.
And I think I know where this one's going to go, but Ben Johnson.
I would love Ben Johnson. We talk about that guy that's going to come in the locker room and kind of like amp this team up, right? I feel like Mike McCarthy was in the locker room asking if dudes had returned their checked out books from the library. And I don't need that. I need someone that's going to come in here and be like, we finna bite kneecaps and chew off ankles and run through this brick wall to go get this W. And I don't care what it takes. That's what we're going to do. And I think that's the cloth Ben Johnson is from with Dan Campbell. That's both of those guys in Detroit. I would take either one of those coordinators.
All right, two more. We got and it's not like a strange name, but he's definitely a Jerry Jones guy. But Jason Witten.
No. Listen, love Jay Witt. I love Jay Witt, right? I love Jay Witt. Doing great in high school here in Texas. Won him a state championship his first year. Went undefeated his first year. Love him to death. We got to stop I just feel like he's just too. Listen, and I know we all see the highlight of him getting his helmet ripped off for Philadelphia and running, and like that's what. Ooh, go Jason Witten. I just don't know if he's got that.
You don't think he could be a Dan Campbell? They both play tight end.
I don't know. Dan Campbell was a different tight end. Dan Campbell was a dude that dove at your kneecaps. I don't know. I mean, again, guess where Jason Witten is, though, for me? He's above Kellen Moore. I would rather have Jason Witten than Kellen Moore. So no on Jason Witten, but if it's him or Kellen Moore, give me Jay Witt.
All right. And obviously, we said Aaron Glenn, and obviously, you definitely have been talking about Kellen Moore as well. So passer keep, that's great. So I think consensus, Ben Johnson probably was your highest person on that list.
Here's my thing. I think if you're gonna go get a guy, it's got to be one of three people for me, right? It's got to be Al Harris, it's got to be Aaron Glenn, or it's got to be Ben Johnson. Any one of those three guys, I would love an opportunity to have the opportunity to run the Dallas Cowboys. Now, obviously, Al Harris has been in the organization. He kind of knows the ins and outs of the Dallas Cowboys. So I think he's got a leg up. But any one of those two coordinators in Detroit, you get either one of those guys to come to Dallas, you won the offseason. That's step number 2, right? There's a lot of steps that's got to happen, but I would love either one of those two guys would be at the top of my list. Obviously, Dion is up there if you can find a way to get him to come.
And I agree with you as well. So just to circle back on what we had started with, when you was talking about coaches and black coaches and the Rooney Rule, it's important that we kind of maybe talk about this. And I am going to, disclaimer, I am going to probably clip it up and make it its own segment on the YouTube podcast. So just a disclaimer about that. But let's circle back on that, right? So Aaron Glenn, Deion Sanders, obviously you had Gerard Mayo. You also had Antonio Pierce, who I felt that got the short end of the stick as far as that coaching opportunity. Now, people can say what they want, obviously, and say maybe race didn't have a factor in that. But if we look at the history of the NFL, I think race definitely had a factor in that. And over the last couple of years, not only just in the NFL, but the NBA or whatever the sport is, African Americans have had the shortest time span to complete a job than anybody else on the job. You got Brian Deball still got a job, and the Giants ain't been having no type of success in a long time. But Gerard Mayo takes over for Bill Belichick. Antonio Pierce actually gets a contract extension, I believe, and gets let go after year 1. So how come African-American quarterbacks continue to have a short leash when it comes to the NFL? It just doesn't make any sense to me. So I kind of fear for the Aaron Glenn's of the world. Probably not so more for Deion Sanders, but Aaron Glenn actually turned down the Patriots job, the interview. And you could probably figure out why. Because everybody knew who the Patriots were going to hire. So why waste his time with New England in the interview when you already know that they already have that guy? So I want you to expound on what you were saying earlier about the African-American coaches in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, it's you can look at it, right? And it's not just coaches. we can look at a lot of different things. Like you look at Gerard Mayo. Gerard Mayo was not given a roster that was going to make him successful in year one. There is nobody that looked at the Patriots and said, okay, this Patriots team should win 10, 12 games and fight for the playoffs. They were in shambles. They are in true rebuild mode. If we think Mike Vrabel is going in there and automatically making that team an instant winner, I would be very shocked if that team competes for the division championship. Now, you can say what you want, but if Mike Vrabel goes in there and does the same thing that Gerard Mayo does, are they going to fire Mike Vrabel?
Nope.
Probably not.
Nope.
Probably not. Antonio Pierce. The Las Vegas Raiders are a crap show. They are even worse than the Patriots. And you asked Antonio Pierce to come in as the interim coach the year before and fix a roster in 1 year. It doesn't work like that. He's not taking over the Baltimore Ravens or the Buffalo Bills. These are not programs. These are not teams that are successful teams. But again, like I said, it's not just NFL coaches. If you look at typically of how people talk about black quarterbacks versus white quarterbacks, it's the same way, right? We put a shorter leash on a Lamar Jackson than we do a Josh Allen, right?
Right.
It's just how it works. And you can talk all you want and say, why do y'all always talk about race? I'm telling you guys, I've seen it year in and year out, not only in the NFL, in the NBA, it's the same way. And unfortunately, it was so bad in the NFL that the NFL put a rule in that said you have to at least interview these black coaches to get the check mark done on your list, which is sad. It's sad. And then it's sad that a guy like Aaron Glenn's like, listen, I want nothing to do with the Patriots. I don't want to be a head coach for the Patriots. There's no stability there for me as a black coach if I'm not successful instantly. But you got a guy, you brought up Brian Daboll, who, how does he still have a job? Explain to me what he's done in the New York Giants organization that screams, this is a guy we gotta ride with this guy. He's gonna win us championships.
Right.
I just, that's the stuff I don't get. And I would love for someone from the Patriots organization, the Raiders organization, to stand up and give a true reason why these guys are out the door, because Gerard Mayo was loved by those players.
Facts.
They wanted to play for him.
Yep. You can even add the GM for the Tennessee Titans who will let go after 1 year.
It's mind-boggling to me that people that can't look at this without the lenses on of, oh my God, it's this same thing, black versus white again. We got to take those lenses off and just look at facts, right? I don't think we should make a rule to make it easier for anybody, but I also think we got to give the same level playing field to every single coach, no matter who you are. And yes, if you're unsuccessful and it's a turmoil and whatever it is, if you're causing that turmoil, I don't care what color you are, you got to go. But Antonio Pierce and Gerard Mayo were not those two type of guys. They just weren't. They just weren't given rosters to be successful. Bill Belichick wasn't successful with that roster in New England. And he's one of the greatest coaches to ever coach the game of football. He couldn't be successful, so he got terminated. Right. Then you ask Gerard Mayo to come in and do something Bill Belichick couldn't even do? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. And so, you talk about, you feel bad for a guy like Aaron Glenn and Al Harris. I would love to see either one of those guys on the sideline, but we can't just expect guys to walk in the door, no matter what color they are, and turn around something that's been broken for 10 years, 5 years, and instantly make it better.
Right.
And unfortunately, that's how it works.
Right. We just want them to have the same equal opportunity and the same amount of length that some of the other counterparts actually have when they're actually coaching a bad team, or when they brought in and they have a bad roster. They're given the opportunity to correct the roster. They have an opportunity to go through the growing pains of that particular team or organization. The African-American quarterbacks, not so much, because they get one and done each and every time. You see it in the NFL, the NBA, or whatever. But I will bring up the point that it might be just an owner thing as well, because we do have Todd Bowles for the Tampa Bay Bucks. He's African American. He's survived all this time. I mean, I know
But
the
you know,
Bucks
he's
had
been
some success.
successful. He's been
Yeah,
successful. Todd Bowles has been successful.
yeah, yeah.
And obviously, listen, it's not every single organization.
Right.
It's just like anything. Not, there are bad apples in every group. And if there's more bad apples than there are good apples, then we got a problem. Obviously, Mike Tomlin has been very successful as a black coach, very successful. But we still talk about Mike Tomlin every single year.
Every year.
He's in the playoffs every single year, but every year he's on the hot seat. Like there are teams that would love for that to be. Listen, the Arizona Cardinals would kill to be in the playoffs every single year with a chance, because you get a chance every year you make the playoffs to win a Super Bowl. But Mike Tomlin's always on the hot seat. Again, I would take Mike Tomlin today. Send him to Dallas. Well, I'll take him right now.
Yeah, it's very sad to see that, the opportunity is based on your race or whatever, and it shouldn't really be like that. The Rooney Rule is terrible. You definitely should hire the best candidate no matter what. But the fact that you got to have a rule in order for certain organizations to
Yep.
give opportunities to other
Yep.
people is very shameful. That is
Yep.
terrible.
I
There's
agree.
no way around that. And it's the same organizations, we can sit up here and call them out. It's the same organizations that have those type of issues like all the time, man. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, I'm a Cowboy fan, and we could probably fit in that category as well as far as the organization that might be contributing to that problem as well. Because I don't ever remember seeing a African American coach on the sidelines for the Dallas Cowboys. I
Not a
believe
head coach.
we'd have had 3 quarterbacks: Quincy Carter, Randall Cunningham, and now Dak Prescott. 3 African American quarterbacks. No head coaches.
Well, Randall Cunningham, I mean, he was here for like a coffee, like a cup of coffee. That was about it. Quincy Carter,
So what, 2.5?
boy,
2.5?
Quincy Carter. Boy, I'll never forget them Quincy Carter years. Oh my goodness.
So
Oh
do
my
you think
goodness.
we would see? We got what? Who is it? Aaron Glenn, Al Harris, 2 potential African American coaches out there that compete. Will we ever see an African American quarterback on the sidelines? Coach for the Dallas Cowboys. You think that ever happen? Not to put you on the spot. You ain't got.
I hate to say this, but not as long as Jerry Jones is the owner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay.
And unfortunately, I feel like he's gonna hire Kellen Moore.
Oh my god! All right, we'll move on from that topic. I'll dice that up or whatever. Put that on YouTube. We'll see what type of comments come from that segment. But moving on, obviously there was some playoff games this past weekend. I don't know about you, but it was a pretty stress-free weekend for me. I did not have to sit and witness the Dallas Cowboys blow another playoff game. So I was sitting on my couch happy than a mug, okay, that I did not have to witness that. And I know a lot of other teams was on a couch worried about their team, but that was not a worry that I did not have. But at the end of the day, you guys got to remember there's only one Super Bowl winner. So no matter how far your team goes, there's only one winner. And if they do not win, you guys have had the exact same season that the Dallas Cowboys had,
Right.
which was a
Super
Bowl winning season.
Nobody with a worse draft pick.
Yeah. So yeah, with the worst draft pick. So yeah, your team might have made it further than the Dallas Cowboys, but did they win it all? Probably not. So therefore, the Dallas Cowboys season was a loss, and your season was a loss as well.
Yeah.
So one of the games that I was watching, but I did not get opportunity to finish, was the Buccaneers and the Commanders. I fell asleep on that game. I was surprised that the Commanders actually won that game.
Can't turn the ball over. You can't turn the ball over. And the thing about the Commanders is I always feel like they're in the game, right? They're coached very, very well. They're obviously they have a young team, so they do make some mistakes. They had some turnovers, but the Bucs just gave them the ball right back. And what it boiled down to was who could execute more. And Jaden Daniels and that team just executed more. They ran the football better. They threw the football better. They played better defense, and they get the W. I think that's the end of their season, because now they got to play the Lions. And I think the Lions in that. The other game in the NFC was the Packers and the Eagles.
Right.
And the Packers have a lot of injuries. But the thing that surprised me the most was teams know that the Eagles are going to run the football. Listen, the Eagles don't hide it. We're running the football.
Right.
And they ran the football very, very well. Saquon Barkley is the real deal. If the Eagles are going to win a Super Bowl, it's because of that offensive line of Saquon Barkley, and they are dangerous. Here's the thing that concerns me about the Eagles is that if they ever figure out that they have two of the top 10 wide receivers in all of the NFL in Devontae Smith and AJ Brown, they might be one of the most dangerous teams we've seen in a long time, because I think Jalen Hurts ended up like 130 yards throwing the football, which is really sad. The problem is that the Packers just suck, and they suck because they got a lot of injuries. Their top guys are out. He had nobody to throw to. He didn't have no time. That defense got after him in Philadelphia. That Philadelphia team, if they learn to throw the football, and you saw AJ Brown kind of upset on the sideline. He over there reading, War and Peace on the sidelines on the bench. They find a way to get those guys involved. I mean, Dallas Goedert is a grown man at tight end. That they're going to be dangerous. Now they got a tough matchup because they got to play the Rams, who just absolutely demolished the Minnesota Vikings.
Right.
It's like that game on Sesame Street when you were growing up. Like, one of these things is not like the other. One of these things just doesn't belong, and that's the Minnesota Vikings. They had no business being in the playoffs. They the most fraud 14-win team I've never seen in the NFL. Sam Darnold had a chance.
Past 2 weeks.
Sam Darnold had a chance to make a bag yesterday if he'd have came out and played well, and he just threw away $100 million yesterday. It was sad. The Rams just literally did whatever they wanted. The Rams are the most dangerous team left in the NFC. I would not want to play the Rams. The Philadelphia Eagles are going to have to play a really, really good game to beat the Rams. And ultimately, I think that's what it's going to be. I think it's going to be Detroit versus Philly in the NFC Championship.
Right. And I agree with you about the Rams. I was just telling my sister this the other day. I was like, the Rams are getting healthy at the correct time, and they are still dangerous out there. Just imagine if they still had Aaron Donald. Like, they would be even more dangerous. But if Philly allows Matthew Stafford to go out there and throw lasers like he was throwing the other day, they going home easily, because Jalen Hurts is still suffering from that little concussion type thing. And he can't go out and just, like, he didn't even have over 100-yard passing until, like, late in the game. Like, it took a while. That first 2 quarters, third quarter, he was trash. So if Matthew Stafford can get it going and throw dots with Cooper Kupp and Puka, and they get that run game going, Philly might be in trouble. And over the course of the season, I don't think Philly has been as good as people have been making them out to be. They're very beatable, and they might be facing the Rams at the wrong time.
I think the saving grace is it's in Philadelphia.
Right.
It's going to be cold. Matt Stafford, obviously has played in the dome most of his career. It's going to be interesting how he deals with that. The crowd always plays a factor in Philadelphia. But we'll see. Again, Jalen Hurts has to play a lot better for them to beat the Rams. Right. But ultimately, I think Philly wins. Philly versus the Lions, because I don't think the Lions lose to the Commanders.
Right. And then you had those other 2 games, the Ravens and the Steelers. Ravens look pretty good with Lamar Jackson. The Bills look dangerous against the Broncos, but it was the Broncos. But the Bills, they are looking very, very good as well. I mean, unfortunately, they got the Ravens coming up, so
it's going to be a great matchup.
Yeah,
it's a great matchup. It's the MVP versus the guy who should win the MVP, right? It's Josh Allen versus Lamar Jackson. Unfortunately, Lamar Jackson, apparently you can win too many MVPs, and now we got MVP sickness, and we got to give it to the other guy. Whatever. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be which quarterback plays the best, right? The run game for the Ravens is better than the Buffalo Bills, but I think Buffalo's pass game is better than the Ravens. So it boils down to which quarterback plays better. Now, Lamar Jackson has been on a tear here this year. Now he's got Derrick Henry. You got to focus on Derrick. Lamar's even better. He's throwing lasers down the field. That's going to be a fun game to see. And then who do the Chiefs play?
They got the Texans.
So the Chiefs get a bye week because they get to play the Texans. The Texans win a football game versus the Chargers.
You better be careful.
Who the Chargers?
Listen,
what happened to the Chargers?
Rex Ryan, before they played the Chargers, Rex Ryan got on national TV and said that the Chargers had a bye week against the Texans. The Texans heard that, and they went out and smashed the Chargers. So here we go right here. We got Expert Corner saying that the Chiefs got a bye week. So
If me saying that the Chiefs got a bye week means the Chiefs lose, let me say it again. The Chiefs got a bye week versus the Texans. I would love to not see Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. Everybody in the world would love to see Patrick Mahomes not back in the Super Bowl with Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift on the TV. Okay. But let's be honest. The Texans should have lost to the Chargers, and the Chargers just forgot that they was a football team. I don't know what Herbert was doing. Again. And I see Charger fans all over the place. Like, Herbert's still our guy. He's still a top 10 quarterback. Like, stop. Justin Herbert has been horrible his whole career.
right.
He is horrible. He gets in the playoffs. The playoffs is too bright for him. Give him the same treatment you guys give Dak Prescott when he don't win playoff games. I don't want to hear that nonsense.
Right.
He got worse numbers than Dak Prescott, and we talking about he the GOAT. He the greatest thing. Listen, you had a great quarterback. His name was Drew Brees, and you let him go. I'm sorry. You ruined the whole mojo of your organization.
Right.
Chargers didn't deserve to win.
Commanders and Lions.
Yeah, I think Lions win. Easy.
And you know what? Before that matchup even set, it was actually like a lot of predictions was going with the Commanders was going to play the Eagles, and the Lions were going to play the Vikings. And then here goes the Rams showing up and smashing the Vikings and changing the playoff predictions. But I want to see a good game between the Lions and the Commanders. If the Commanders cannot stop the run, and the head coach is actually Dan Quinn, who cannot stop the run when he was in Dallas, so that could be an issue come Sunday if Jaden Daniels is not able to work his magic, and Dan Campbell just runs all over Dan Quinn once again. I can see that happening.
Yeah.
So we'll see about that. So Ravens Bills, you said Ravens?
I think I'm taking Ravens. I want, listen, I said this on the show before. I want Lamar Jackson holding that Lombardi trophy. It would mean that is one guy I would love to see holding the trophy. Right. Lamar Jackson with Derrick Henry now by his side.
I agree. And I can't cheer for the Eagles. I'm going with the Rams. I'm hoping for the Rams to come out and just smash the Eagles for all 4 quarters. I mean, I know they matched up a few weeks ago and the Eagles smashed them with Saquon Barkley running all over him, but I hope that's not going to be the case. Hopefully, Kellen Moore gets pass happy and don't hand the ball out to Saquon Barkley. And I can see that happening.
I need Moore. Philadelphia Eagles win so that the Cowboys can't interview Kellen Moore. So then Jerry Jones gets antsy and hires a coach that's not in the playoffs.
Oh my God! You're putting this Kellen Moore too much in the universe out there.
I'm telling you.
I don't like it. If Kellen Moore gets hired as a Dallas Cowboy coach, we may have to take a sabbatical from the podcast and just like be done with it for a little bit. Because I don't know if I can come up and have a topic about Kellen Moore. I don't want to do it. I don't want to see that.
What if Kellen Moore is the guy that wins us a Super Bowl?
One last see this Kellen Moore thing, but one last thing before we get up out of here real quick. Characteristics of the Dallas Cowboys next coach must be what?
He has to be attention to detail about everything. Clock management, play calling, how he deals with players, how he deals with Jerry Jones. He has to be attention to detail, and he has to be aggressive. I think that was one of Mike McCarthy's biggest things is the attention to detail for me never was there, right? We talked too many times late in games, clock management, making the wrong decision, wrong timeout here, not calling the timeout here. Should have ran, should have passed, should have gone for it on 4, should have punted the football away, should have taken the 3. There's too much of that. Leave it up to the football gods and not enough attention to detail with Mike McCarthy. And then the aggressiveness. There are times where I feel like the Cowboys just are not aggressive in a football game when you got a team on their back, you got them backpedaling, and you're not putting your foot on their neck. And that's how teams get back into football games. There are professional athletes on both sides. And too many times in Mike McCarthy era where we weren't aggressive, we came out passive to start the game. We talk a lot about the Cowboys were better late in football games than they were in the first and second quarter, that they would make adjustments and turn it on in the third and fourth quarter, and they came back in a lot of games. I don't want to see that. You got to be aggressive from the first kickoff and go beat teams early and then hold them down the rest of the way. So those are my 2 big things. He's got to have attention to detail, and he's got to be an aggressive football coach.
Right. And I think for me, the number one thing is that he has to hold the players accountable. Like I want to see him get in the player's face when they miss a block, miss a kick, like Dak Prescott throw an interception, somebody fumble. Like I think we're missing that. I get tired of watching some
Yeah.
of these other teams and these coaches be riding their players when they make a mistake and it pretty much takes the team out of position to either win or put them in a good position to do something else or to be able to convert on something. Like you got players out there jumping off sides,
Oh
moving,
yeah.
fighting on
Yeah.
critical situations in a game, and Mike McCarthy never addressed that.
That's the attention. That is the attention to detail, right? You cannot be one of the most penalized football teams and consider yourself a great head coach.
Right.
It just those two don't go hand in hand.
Right.
Teams that are heavy on penalties are not successful football teams. Just how it works.
And that's in the game. And they got referees at practice. So how are you the most penalized team
Facts.
on Sundays when you got referees at practice? Are they not calling that, or you just not caring? Like I don't understand it. But hey, Silver and Blue Huddle, we're back. It was a happy podcast due to Mike McCarthy being gone. Good riddance. Good luck on your future endeavors.
Yeah.
We just didn't want him to be in Dallas. Good coach. Love you. Good regular season. Thank you for all the wins. Thank you for winning on Thanksgiving. Thank you for that. But hey, it's time for a change. You know what I'm saying? So I look forward to our next head coach. Hopefully he comes in very, very soon. Jerry doesn't wait too long to hire him or interview him. So I just want to make the Cowboys great again, Jerry Jones. That's all I want. So Silver and Blue is available on all your streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple. Make sure you drop a like and comment on our podcast. Subscribe to the channel and turn on that bell icon so you know when we drop a video. We're doing some new things that are different. This time with the podcast, we're going to chop it up a little bit, post some individual segments out there. So make sure you guys like and comment. Shout out to the people who have been who has hit the notify bell on the podcast. And comment. We appreciate you. I appreciate you. Esper appreciate you. So amazing to appreciate you. And I think that's it, right?
We'll see you next week.
See you guys next week. Peace out.